Hello and welcome to the English Matura Express, the express to your success. My name is Maria and today's topic is taking initiative in the dialogue and how to deal with difficulties. Hello and welcome back. So now let's have a look at the overview of today's stream. So first of all, I will show you a dialogue task. I mean, probably you all know what a dialogue task looks like, but let's have again a look at it, okay? So then I will show you some discourse markers in speech. Next, I will tell you how to take initiative in the dialogue, and last but not least, dealing with difficulties. So now let's have a look at the dialogue task. So the dialogue task is part 2 of your A-level exam, of your oral A-level exam in English. First of all, of course, there is the self-introduction, then you have the monologue, and then task 2, the dialogue. So now let's have a look at it. So this dialogue is about technology in schools. So first of all, you had a talk about technology or about a similar topic, and now you have to talk freely with your interlocutor. It's not a monologue, but still it's more like an active dialogue. So you have the active role, so you talk a lot, but still you have to listen and you have to answer questions. So here you talk about technology in schools, and there is an article that you have read before. So in your preparation time, so the article is about UK schools and tech industry urge to foster education revolution, and there's the link below. Of course, in your actual A-level exam, it will be printed out for you. So read it, underline some important points of it, make some notes. I think you know that, but if you are unsure about that, if you are uncertain, there are some streams about how to take notes and how to deal with the dialogue task. And then there is the follow-up discussion. Again, it's now a talk between you, the interlocutor, and the examination board. So they will ask you some questions, or they ask you if you can ask them some questions. So what would be good is to prepare a question. So not about like, what do you think about technology? No, maybe think about a more like interesting question, something well thought out. So that's how a dialogue looks like, how a dialogue task looks like, and that's what you have to do. So now let's have a look at some discourse markers in speech. What are discourse markers? Discourse markers are words or phrases to connect, and what's very important, to organize, so to structure your speech, that there is a red thread to it, okay? So there are some basic ones. No, sorry, here they are. Anyway, fine, so, well, right, like, okay, as I say. So whenever you want to make a pause, which is perfectly fine, because of course also when talking German, one makes pauses, that's just natural, but of course you can fill them with words like, okay, anyway, so, well, right. It just sounds more English, and it's an English exam, so try to sound English. Then, of course, there are some discourse markers to organize your ideas, so to order them, that you have some sort of structure, because a structure that's very important, not only for you, but it also helps the examination board and your interlocutor to follow your ideas. So some basic ones: firstly, secondly, lastly. Pay attention. There isn't a secondly when there wasn't a firstly, okay? So you cannot start with like secondly and there wasn't a firstly. That makes no sense. So please start with firstly and then secondly. First of all, then next, finally, for a start, in general, what's more. So there are many words. There are whole lists on the internet, and also that's a whole list, So of course you don't have to know them all. I mean, you should know what they mean, but of course there are some words you like to use more often. So maybe go for them, yeah? So when you say like, okay, first of all, I really like this phrase, so try to use it in when you're practicing with your study buddy or when you're talking to your, I don't know, your cat. So try to internalize some words, because of course you have to use some linking words. They are very good for a speech, for doing a speech, and for doing a dialogue, of course. And yeah, but you cannot use all of them, so try to focus on some of them. So that was the message I wanted to convey. So then in the dialogue, of course, sometimes you have to start another subject, or maybe you don't know a lot about one question, so you want to, yeah, start another one, start another subject, and that's fine, because that's how a discussion works. Yeah, you can always start with another subject, with another topic. I mean, not really topic, it should be like in the case we talked about before, it should be about technology, but still you can kind of shift. Yeah, so you can say, yeah, now we'll move on to, or let me turn now to, sorry, that reminds me of, and so you can start with another idea. Good. Then there are some discuss markers to say something in another way. I think that's also very helpful for when you don't know a word, or if you just want to emphasize a certain aspect, a certain argument. For example, you can say, actually, what I mean is, or in other words, or the thing is. So you can focus on one point even more. And yeah, because I always think it's better to give few examples, but really try to elaborate on them. So not only giving a list, really try to just stick to few examples and then try to explain them, give more details. I think that makes more sense, because that shows that you really know something about it. Yeah, so you can always say like, yeah, actually what I mean, or in other words. Yeah, good. Then of course in a dialogue you talk with an interlocutor, so it's dialogue, it's a discussion, and so you can also respond. So good words for responding are, for example, absolutely, or certainly, definitely, I see, that's great, sure, exactly, no way. I mean, that's a bit informal. So, oh, really? Yeah, nevertheless, yes, but. Okay, so that's how you can respond. There also is a stream on how to disagree and how to agree in a dialogue. So maybe have a look at this stream, because it's also about British politeness. And in the exam, you should be polite, but of course you can disagree. That's perfectly fine to disagree. And yeah, so there are some words which help you for disagreeing, and if you need some more information on it, have a look at the stream on how to agree and how to disagree and how to partially agree. Very interesting. Okay, and then if you want to finish a subject, you can say, yeah, like, that's all I have to say about, or to sum up in conclusion, well, I have told you about. You can use these words in the dialogue, but of course also in the monologue. So now let us move on to taking initiative in the dialogue. Because as I've already mentioned, it is a dialogue, so it's a discussion. It's not only you talking and giving a speech, but still you have, or you should have, an active role. Because it's about you, it's your exam and not your interlocutor's ones. Yeah. So how can you take initiative? First of all, ask questions. Yeah, it's a dialogue. If the interlocutor asks you some question, of course you can ask them some back. Sorry, him or her some back. Then you can also ask for agreement, like, yeah, do you agree, or do you have something to add, or what do you think about this point? Yeah, You can also add some ideas. So if he or she, the interlocutor, talks about something, you can say, yeah, may I add this point? So it's polite, yeah, but you take initiative, yeah. You show, okay, I have something to add, and that's a good phrase to do that, yeah. Or yeah, may I add this new idea, or yeah, maybe may I add this opinion. So that's also very important. So sorry, they don't all phrases, but it's more like, okay, so what can you add? So you can add, of course, a new point, a new idea, or a different opinion. So you disagree, or you can also agree, but you partially agree. So yes, I agree, but okay, good. Then you can shift the focus, yeah. So if you are talking about technology in school and about smartphones, maybe you want to shift to, I don't know, tablets at school. So you can say like, yeah, I would like to move to another point. Again, that's how you take initiative, because you're talking and you want to give some more and extra information, and that's very good. It's also very good to give examples, a lot of examples. So maybe you can also say, yeah, sure, we have a look at an example, yeah. Good. And then, as I've already told you before, you can, of course, focus on points. I would focus on points that you really know about, but I think that's obvious. So I'd like you to think about again. So you can shift the focus. So we have shifting and focusing in one phrase. So you can shift the focus to a point you're really good at. I think that's very helpful, and you can do that because it's a discussion, it's a dialogue. As long as it is about technology, about the topic, it's fine. Of course, you have to answer questions. I hope you know that, but still, you can kind of change the way or the direction of the dialogue. Good. What's very important when you interrupt people or when you disagree, try to be polite. In the other stream, we talked about British politeness, and it's very different to this like German directness. But so, and as it is an English exam, try to use this British politeness or this English politeness. So, if you want to interrupt, you can say, for example, I am sorry to interrupt, but, yeah. So like, excuse me, but I am sorry, but. Then, if you want to go to another point, so if you want to shift the focus, you can say like, yeah, thank you, but now I would like to go on, yeah? So say thank you. I mean, good. Or if you have to disagree, of course, you can say I disagree, but what would sound a little bit more polite would be like, I'm afraid I have to disagree, or excuse me, or I'm sorry I have to disagree, or like really polite, may I interrupt you, may I disagree. No, you don't really say that, but yeah, may I. Okay, good. But now let us move on to the last point of today's stream, which is dealing with difficulties. I mean, the slide before, I showed you some helpful tips and how to shift the dialogue, how to give it another direction. But still, it can be the case that there occur some difficulties. I mean, it's an oral exam, you are very nervous, and that's pretty normal, unfortunately. So what could happen? For example, no words. So you're like, okay, you have no, you want to say something, but you don't really know the word, or you cannot remember. So what can you do? Try to paraphrase. Like, I'm lost for words, but I'll try to paraphrase. So say, excuse me, I don't know the word, or I forgot about the word, but let me try to put it another way, or say it in other words, yeah? I think that's very good, and it also shows that you not only know vocabularies by heart, but you really know what they mean and how to yeah, define them. So when learning the vocabularies, always try to think about, okay, not only the English and the German equivalent, but also like, so what does it mean? So how can we say it? How can we put it another way? Because that happens a lot of times that you, yeah, like it's now, yeah, that you try to find the words, and that's a very uncomfortable situation. But when you are able to paraphrase, that's even better, yeah. So try to do that in your study time, preparation time, and of course, if there occur some very good words in your preparation time, write them down on your notes, yeah, because notes are very important, because as I've already told you, when you're nervous, you easily forget words. Good. Sometimes, especially in the dialogue, they ask you questions. I mean, obviously, it's a dialogue, and yeah, it can happen that you don't understand the question. So what you do now, yeah? So you can, of course, ask for clarification, or for repetition. So like, I'm sorry, but I didn't quite understand, or can you please repeat the question? That's fine, yeah? Or yeah, could you please repeat? So that's perfectly fine, because that's again the same in German. That happens a lot of time, and especially if you're nervous. Then what else could happen? You lose your thread, yeah, den roten Faden. So you can say, for example, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but now let's move on to another point. So shift the focus, because you, yeah, okay, or you focus on something else. Then there are some hesitation fillers. We already talked about pauses, and that pauses are again normal. But here are some words you can use, because I also tend to use pretty often, but I also try to use words like well, or yeah, you see, or like I always say, okay, yeah. So for example, you can say well, or you see, or that is an interesting point. So if you want to win some time, if you want to, okay, I don't know what to say, but let's say, yeah, that's an interesting point. But have you ever thought about, okay? So that's how you can win some time or fill the pauses. Oh, that's a very good one. That's a thought-provoking question. And then you can answer the question. Maybe it helps you. Okay, but what's very important, and I really want to close this stream with this thought: talk to the interlocutor, talk to the examiner. It's fine, but of course try to talk in English, because it's really better if you're like, okay, sorry, I didn't understand, or can you repeat it again, or I don't know what you're talking about, or yeah, because that shows, okay, you can deal with difficulties, and yeah, that's how a language works, because you don't always get it at the exact moment, and you have to ask for clarification, and that's really good if you can do that in English and not only in German, or which language, whatever language, I'm sorry. Okay, and of course prepare. So study for the exam, study the topics, and also take notes. That's again very important, because a lot of people think, okay, once they did the monologue, yeah, it's over, it's good, the dialogue, yeah, that's fine. But it's not, because it's, again, you have to talk and you have to give information, you have to, yeah, structure your thoughts. So yeah, prepare and talk if you have any questions. If you have any questions about about dealing with difficulties and taking initiative, please let us know. So just write it in the comments and we will answer them immediately, or not immediately, but as fast as we can. Good. That's it for today. Thank you a lot. I wish you a nice and pleasant night, and bye bye.